Welcome to Sunday dinner. This is a truly special recipe I can't wait to share with everybody. First, I want to introduce my son, Warren Russo, to this video and to this recipe. This recipe signifies family more than any other recipe in our entire repertoire. Today, we're going to share with you our family's Sugo, or Sugo Rosso. And this is a recipe shared from my grandmother to her children to us. I can't wait to share it now with my children as well, and hopefully generations to come. Like I said, this is just your normal spaghetti sauce, red sauce, spaghetti gravy. We call it Sugo. And with that, you can see all the wonderful ingredients here we have in front of us. Today, we're gonna do this with a pork roast. You can do meatballs, you can do any type of meats that you wanna do in this, but today, we've decided to do a pork roast in ours. This is gonna cook all day long. Our house is gonna truly smell spectacular, and it's just gonna feel like family. And with that, as normal, if you look in the description below, we'll share all the ingredients, and you'll see step-by-step processes throughout this video. Please like our Facebook page, as well as subscribe to our YouTube page, Sunday Dinner. And with that, let's get to sharing Sunday Dinner Sugo. All right, so let's start out by going through the ingredients here. Right here we have two 28-ounce cans of crushed San Marzano tomatoes. We have two 6-ounce cans of tomato paste. We have about roughly 1 tablespoon of fresh chopped basil, 1 tablespoon of fresh chopped oregano, and 1 to 2 teaspoons of fresh chopped thyme. We did use all fresh herbs out of our garden. You can absolutely use dried herbs in replacement if you don't have fresh herbs. Here we have coarse black pepper, which we're going to use to taste. We have kosher salt, which we'll use to taste. Then here we have 1/3 cup of granulated sugar. We have six cloves of chopped garlic. We have 1.5 yellow onions chopped. If you have one really large onion, you can use that instead. We have 1 bunch of green onions chopped, and we have 4 ribs of celery in which we've chopped as well. We're gonna start this off in a very specific order, heating this with extra virgin olive oil, and we're gonna start with the celery. And we're gonna add these in a very specific order. First, we're gonna start with the celery, then we're gonna go with the yellow onion, followed up with the green onion and the garlic. We're gonna do that in very specific order because they take different times to saute and get correct for this pot. So Warren, if you don't mind, you start with the olive oil. We're gonna go, let's say about a couple tablespoons. Keep going, keep on going. All right, Jen, if you can come in here a little closer, you can kind of see about how much olive oil we have in our pot. And you see this is already preheated. Perfect, kind of stir that around more. Go ahead and let's add all of the celery here. Go ahead and dump those in, perfect. Thank you, son. We're just gonna kind of let this start sauteing. And as I said, we're gonna put this in a very specific order due to the time it takes for each one's to become translucent or to cook. All right, I'm gonna add just a touch, just like I do all my vegetables, just a touch of kosher salt to this. And we're gonna let this cook for probably about 2 or 3 minutes prior to adding our yellow onions next. So let's let this cook down for a few minutes and we'll join you back in just a couple. Thanks. All right, our celery has been sauteing for approximately about 3 or 4 minutes. It's starting to soften up just enough. And now we're gonna go ahead and add our yellow onion. Warren, if you can grab that. Go ahead and put all those in. Perfect. Get that nice and incorporated. All right. The smells start to really come together when you start adding the onion and garlic. Get that nice and incorporated. Warren, if you don't mind, just keep stirring that. And as you do that, okay, go ahead and stop real quick. Spread them out. There you go, thank you. I'm gonna do the same thing. Add just a touch of kosher salt. And again, that's gonna help bring the flavors and the sweetness out of the onions. You don't wanna over salt it. You're just gonna put a little bit just to help sweat these onions. All right, so what I want you to do is make sure you have a nice distribution across the whole pot. There you go. Make sure all the sides are kind of brushed down, and that's good. All right, so we're now gonna go ahead and let this sit for another 3 or 4 minutes, stirring occasionally as these onions sweat down and become translucent. And then as the next step, we're gonna add both the green onion and the garlic. And that's when the smells really start to incorporate and fill the house with love. All right, join us back in just a couple minutes. All right, our yellow onions now have been sauteing for about 2 to 3 minutes, and you can see here they're starting to become translucent. Exactly what we're looking for. Celery has softened up just enough. So Warren, if you don't mind, let's go ahead and add the green onions. Go ahead and add all of those, as well as the garlic. Make sure we get all of those. When that garlic hits the pan, that's when the love starts happening. There's no way to add too much garlic in this recipe to me. We use 6 cloves. If you want to use 4, use 4. If you want to use 8, use 8. For this recipe, we are using 6. Son, we need smell-o-vision. Awesome. So again, we're going to let this now cook for about 2 to 3 more minutes. That's it. And then from there, we're going to add our tomato paste. And it's a very important step in this process is to let the tomato paste cook for 3 to 4 minutes so that tomato paste really browns and cooks into the recipe. All right, so we'll join you in just a couple minutes when this garlic and green onions are well incorporated, and we'll be ready to add the tomato paste. All right, so our garlic and green onion have been cooking for another 2 to 3 minutes. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add our 2 6-ounce cans of tomato paste. Warren, if you don't mind getting that, and go ahead and putting all that in. So one of the things that's important here when you're cooking with tomato paste is not to just add it and then start adding more ingredients. It's important that the tomato paste actually cook down and the tomatoes actually brown. All right, thank you, son. Go ahead and add that on, and I'll start incorporating it. Make sure you get as much as you can. Son. That's good. All right, so go ahead and come on in here, tighten up in the shot. You're gonna see the tomato paste really start to incorporate with our vegetables. What we're trying to do here is we're trying to brown this tomato paste and help it cook off the acidity and get just brown enough. All right, we're gonna cook this just like this for probably 2 or 3 minutes, that's it. Maybe 4, depending, until I see the exact brownness I'm looking for in the tomato paste. So again, I wanna try to distribute it nice amongst the entire pan. And man, those smells now of the onions, garlic, tomatoes are really flavorful and just filling up our entire kitchen with love. So again, we're gonna cook this for 2 or 3 minutes. Then we're gonna come back and we're gonna start adding the rest of our crushed tomatoes and water and herbs. Join us back in a couple. All right, so our tomato paste and vegetables have all been cooking for about 2 to 3 minutes, maybe even 4 minutes. And you may not be able to see this, but the tomato paste is actually starting to turn a little bit darker brown. Okay, that's the consistency we're looking for here. And as a note, I'm cooking this on medium-high heat. I didn't mention that earlier, but that's what we're gonna try to cook this on until we get it up to a simmer after we add these next ingredients. So Warren, what we have here is both 2 cans of our crushed tomatoes. We're gonna go ahead and add all those. And what we've done to get the right amount of crushed tomatoes, tomato paste, vegetables, and we filled up our 2 cans of crushed tomatoes with filtered water. And that's the exact ratio we're looking for. So we're gonna go ahead and put those in there. That's it. Now you can see you just wanna blend that thickness of the tomato paste and vegetables, making sure that's really well incorporating and getting mixed in there. This is gonna thicken up as the day goes on, okay? So now that I have that tomato paste incorporated, I can kind of feel with my spoon the thickness of the tomato paste kind of giving way to the liquids of the sauce. That's what we're looking for here. And once you know that tomato paste is well blended in, we're gonna move on to our next step. So Warren, if you could hand me the sugar, or go ahead and you just grab the sugar. This is exactly 1/3 cup of sugar. If you can sprinkle it over the entire top, just go ahead and just pour it in. I'm gonna use your hand, just pour it all in. There we go. All right, so that's 1/3 cup of sugar. We've used as little as 1/4 cup, as much as 1/2 cup. It's really up to you on how much sugar you wanna add. It's gonna cut the acidity of the tomatoes down. For us, we think about 1/3 cup is right on. Warren, if you don't mind holding that. Now here's where it becomes a little more complicated. We don't really do a lot of measurements when I do this. I really cook by feel. What I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna sit here and I'm gonna add this kosher salt all to the top here. What I'm doing here is trying to make sure I have an even coat all across the top of this. And there's a lot of tomato sauce, a lot of sauce. It's gonna need a lot of kosher salt. And right there, if I had to guess, That's probably a little bit over a tablespoon. What I did is coated the entire top. I'm gonna do the same thing now with the coarse ground pepper. Ooh, that got hot there on the side, sorry. All right, as you can see here, we like a lot of pepper in our Sugo. Right there, that's probably it. Nice coating on the entire top. We're gonna just go ahead and stir that in now and get the salt, the sugar, and everything well blended in. If you don't like your Sugo as spicy as we do, you can definitely cut this down. You can also add some red pepper flake if you like. You could add some red wine if you like. This is the right balance that we have. We like a nice, peppery, sweet, and savory sauce, and that's what we're going for. So we're gonna let this cook now. We're gonna get it up to a slow simmer. We're gonna get this to where it's just bubbling, and we're gonna let it bubble for about 20 more minutes. After that 20 minutes, we're gonna come back and we're gonna add our fresh herbs, but we wanna get it to this consistency and let it cook down for 20 minutes before doing so. All right, so as this starts, we'll join you here shortly. All right, so our Sugo has been now cooking for right at 20 minutes. I turned it down to about a medium low. As you can see now, it's just got these slow boils, nice simmer. After 20 minutes, like I said, we're now gonna go ahead and add our herbs. Warren, if you wanna grab that. So again, we have about a tablespoon of fresh top oregano right out of the garden. We got a tablespoon of fresh basil, which we're gonna put in there. Okay, that's good. And we have about 1 to 2 teaspoons of fresh thyme. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get that incorporated. And like I said, I've moved this down to a medium low at this point to where we have just a nice simmer going. While this was starting to simmer and incorporate, what you can see here is I also got our pork roast, and I did a really heavy coat of both kosher salt and coarse ground black pepper. We also scored the top here in a cross-sectional format, so that way when we kind of sear it here in a few minutes, it'll kind of make that chicharron look to the top of the pork roast that adds to a little bit of the presentation. So what I have here, I'm gonna let this cook for about another 20 minutes. And after that 20 minutes, that's when I'm gonna start to sear the pork roast. The pork roast will take around 20 minutes to get a complete sear on all sides. And what that's gonna give us is 1 full hour of our Sugo cooking before adding the pork roast. And that's kind of what we're looking for. So again, 20 minutes with just the salt and pepper and sugar, 40 minutes after you do the herbs, and after that 40 minutes, you should have already sauteed, or excuse me, seared the pork roast, and that's gonna go in. And that's gonna cook pretty much the rest of the day for, call it 4 to 6 hours, even 8 hours, depending on your pork roast. So with that, I'm gonna keep this now. I have it now pretty much on low to medium low to where it's just at a nice simmer, and we're gonna join back here in around 20 minutes to start the searing of the pork roast. All right, so our Sugo has been simmering now for about 20 plus minutes, and you can see it's at a nice simmer here. Been stirring it occasionally, and this is the point in your day that your house is starting to smell like a true Italian family cooking Sunday dinner. It smells spectacular, very rich. It's the perfect simmer we're looking for. So now is when we're gonna start simmering the pot roast. Okay, so this is really hot oil we've had on. We're gonna do every side of this, okay? So we're gonna come in here and slowly add our oil. All right, so we dropped the pot roast into the oil. We had a little over 1/4 inch of oil in here. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna sit here and we're gonna brown every single side of this. It's gonna be about 2 to 3 minutes to 4 minutes per side. Probably about 4 minutes on the bigger sides and 2 or 3 minutes on the other sides. And we're gonna slowly rotate this. After it's completely seared on all sides, we're gonna show you what it looks like afterwards. We're then gonna add it to our Sugo and let it cook for the remaining part of the day. All right, so we seared the pork roast on all 6 sides. You're actually gonna make a few turns there, so you wanna make sure it's seared on every single side. You can kind of see what I was talking about, the cross-sectioning here of the fat layer. So now, what we're gonna do is I got 2 big old things of tongs here. We're just gonna hold the pot. We're gonna slowly put this into our Sugo. As you can see, we'll make sure it's kind of going down all the way to the bottom. And then I'm gonna cover that pork roast. Excuse me there. I'm gonna cover this pork roast now with some Sugo. All right, this is now gonna stay on medium low almost all day long. This is a pretty large pork roast. This is a 9-pounder, a little bit larger than we normally would make when we would try to shoot for a 6 to 8 pounder. This is a 9-pounder. So this is gonna probably saute or similar for at least another 6 to 8 hours, slowly turning it about once every hour to make sure all the sides of the pork roast get nice and cooked, and we'll be ready for a fantastic family dinner. All right, the Sugo has been cooking and the pot roast has been simmering now for about 2.5 hours. You kind of see what it's starting to look like here. We're gonna go ahead and turn this meat one more time. Like I said, we're gonna turn this meat probably once every hour to 45 minutes just to make sure all the sides are getting nice and coated. You see the sauce kind of thickening up. I'm always gonna, every time I turn it, just put a layer of sauce right on the top of the Sugo, keeping everything moist. Perfect, there we go. All right, this is gonna get more and more tender as we go. And after about 4 to 6 hours, really the meat's gonna start breaking up and start kind of wanting to fall off into the sauce. At that point in time, that's when you know the Sugo is really done. The pot roast is starting to become tender and ready to serve. So again, we're about 2.5 hours in. We probably have another 2.5 to 3 hours to go. We're gonna keep watching it, and we'll keep giving you some updates as we go. It's been a fantastic day today cooking this Sugo. It's been cooking now with the pork roast in it for just a little over 6 hours. And as you can see, the pork roast is really starting to become tender now. And I'm gonna go ahead and take this pork roast out. Give me just a second. You wanna get underneath it as much as you can. There we go. As you see, it's really starting to break apart. You can see the Sugo in here is nice and rich. Meat's starting to decompose here, or break down here in the Sugo. It looks fantastic. Now what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna break up some of this pork roast. You can see it really just kind of starts tearing apart really easily. Oh yeah, fantastic. Perfect. All right, there we go. That's just enough. We'll keep breaking it up as we go. What we're going to want to do here, I have some seashells in which we use today. Family loves them. You can use spaghetti, linguine, whatever you want. My family loves seashells, so we're going to do that. More if you want to take that. Thank you, buddy. Fill that bowl. There we go. A nice big old helping of the Sugo. Oh yeah. That looks fantastic, buddy. Incredibly rich. Then everybody should get a nice big helping of the pork roast. And like I said, this has been cooking for about 6 hours. You could go even another hour or two, continue to break down. We're gonna do a little bit of a fresh Parmesan right on top. Oh yeah. Cooking this recipe all day has really made me think about my family, my grandmother Ruth Russo, my Aunt Gertrude, my Aunt Linda, my Aunt Paula, my father Bill, especially my mother Corinne. And really, it's just been a special day, getting to think about sharing this with everybody, how many great family meals we've had together, and hopefully how many you get to have with your family and your friends. It's that time again. I want to thank you for joining Sunday Dinner. Please like and comment below, and most especially, we really encourage you to try this out and share it with your friends and family. And until next time, good night.